Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. For those who don't know me, my name is Jonathan Vasquez Guarnizo, and I'm currently the president of Asacopy. And today we have the honor to have with us Professor Andrea Cardona Marquez. Unfortunately, during our first webinar, we had some technical difficulties, some technical issues. So that's why we have invited once again Professor Andrea so she can help us with her webinar once again. We feel that it's extremely important to keep track on these kind of spaces because that's an opportunity for everybody to be connected, to learn from each other, because that's exactly the essence of Asacopy. So that's why we have Professor Andrea here. Thank you very much for being with us once again, Professor.
My pleasure, always. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we are re-recording this session, but before giving this space for her to introduce her topic, I would like just to give you a little bit of propaganda, anuncios parroquiales. So let me share my screen because I have wonderful announcements. Um, Number one, we really want to invite you to follow us in all our social media. We have Facebook as Asociación Colombiana de Profesores de Inglés Asocopy. You can also find information regarding all of the sessions that we carried out, not only the webinars, but also the special call for teachers, the prizes, etc., etc. You can also find us on X or Twitter, and here you can find us at Asocopy. You can also find more information on Instagram. And on Instagram, we have an account that is Asocopy Official. Here you can find as well many or more information about us. But you can also find the links of the webinars and on YouTube at Asocopy Colombia. In here, you can find all of the sessions that we record. And also, we are going to be including this one in particularly here. Besides that, I really want to emphasize our webpage because in here, you can find all the information about ASOCOPY, not only the annual conference that we have, but also some spaces related to professional development, as upcoming events, awards that we give, the journal that we hold, etc., etc. Okay, so don't forget that this year we are traveling to Santa Marta at Universidad de Magdalena. So we cordially invite you to be part of our 60th National and 6th International Conference, and we can't wait to meet you there. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce Professor Andrea. Are you ready, Andrea?
Of course I am. Thank you,
Okay,
Jonathan.
so Professor Andrea Cardona Marquez is an English language teacher educator in the BA in Foreign Languages with emphasis on English at Universidad Católica Luis Amigo. She also served as the EduLab Amigo coordinator at the same institution in Manizales, Caldas. Currently, Andrea is the spokesperson at Asocopy. So, Andrea, welcome. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, hello everybody. Once again, I'm very excited to be here. As Jonathan was mentioning, I have the honor, the privilege, and it's something that I really enjoy of being as a Coffee's official spokesperson. And I wanted to be the first person to give a webinar into the 2025. So that's what happened. And we are already recording this because we had some technical issues, as Jonathan mentioned. And today we're going to talk a little bit about gamifying in classroom. I am an English professor at the University of Católica Luis Amigo, as you can see there. But I'm also, as Jonathan mentioned, the coordinator of EduLab Amigo, which is the educational lab that we have at our university. And we have been working with students, with teachers, and with institutions for a couple of years. And I want to share with you what we have done as part of what I do as the coordinator, and like I'm also the spoken person there. So let's get started. I want to um, tell you a little bit about flip learning because I'm pretty sure all of us already know this or are familiar with the concept. We might have been using this for a while, but basically, flip learning is a pedagogical approach, and what we do is we flip the instruction. So what we will normally do in the classroom is like teaching and giving examples and assign homework for home, obviously. Yes, but what happens with that is that sometimes students don't have like the time to do that or don't have the resources to do homework at home. And many times they have questions and we are not there for them to help them understand this. So by flipping the, the learning process, what we do is um, basically assign the topics, like maybe with videos, with articles, with something like that, for them to watch or check at home. And that way they can come to class ready to be engaged in lessons and practice and ask all the questions that they have. And it's, I would say, a much more meaningful way to spend our lessons. So taking this into account, um, let's dive a little bit into Bloom's taxonomy and why flipping is important or recommended. So what happens is that when we take a look at Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, we have here the process. So basically, we start from scratch, like the most important things to remember. Then our students start climbing, and it's like understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. This is the main objective that we all have for our students to create something with the knowledge that we are transmitting with the information that we are giving them. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult, especially in the English classroom, because of the nature of the language. It might be a little bit challenging for us as teachers. But what happens? This image, I took it from Marta Ramirez web page. If you don't follow her, go follow her. So there are so many interesting things there. But Marta here has a sketch note that really represents what is on the core of flipping. So what happens is that we have the group space, and here the teacher is a guide on the side. Yes, and that way students can start applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating things with the information that they checked at home. So we are promoting active learning. That is normally what happens like in a flipped class. Now, what happens? Out of class flip, it will be the one in which the teacher creates or curates the material. And basically, what we do is we foster autonomy and we can actually transform that direct instruction through the materials. So this is something that happened during the pandemic. I guess all of us at least try to create videos with the topics, etc. And we started implementing those things. And what happened in the individual space is that we become the teacher, yes, the support. But what we are going to talk about today is some like variation of flip and it's in-class flip. So what happens in in-class flip is that maybe the content we are not going to assign it for home only. We can have the content in class. That's why I call in-class flip, but in a station. Okay, so this is what happens. So the part of remember and understand it remains there, and students can start moving up the ladder. So in Flip, we have different pillars of Flip learning, and that's why it has like the letters there. The core or the most important thing is student engagement. That is our goal, to have our students engage with the content that we are given and with the language in our case. So we have S, that stands for a flexible environment, L for learning culture, I is for intentional content, and P is for professional educators. If you want a little bit more information about this, I strongly recommend you visiting fliplearning.org. or visit Marta Ramirez YouTube channel or Carolina Rodriguez YouTube channel or their website because you have there more information. But I just want to give you like an introduction so you understand and follow me through the concepts and through the activities I'm going to show. So let's see. In-class flip is, as I mentioned, in my case, for example, it's through station work. So all the information that I'm about to give you comes from a book written by Marta Ramirez and Carolina Rodriguez, and it's called In-class flip: A Student-Centered Approach to Differentiated Learning. This is through ISTE, so the International Society for Technology and Education, and a little comita here. Guys, teachers, please buy this book. This is going to transform your teaching, or at least that's what it is for. So these two ladies over here are Marta and Caro, Caro on top, Marta at the bottom, and the cover of their book. So everything that I'm about to show you comes from that book, but I'm also going to show you how that came into practice in my class. So in order to kind of understand this a little bit better, we need to consider the in-class flip setup. So what happens? You can create your stations basically in different configurations. So for example, on the floor, you can just have a table division, or standing up, you can have things on the wall, or using tables with desks. It's like up to you the way that you're going to use this setup for in-class flip. Okay, the most important thing is that we have a way for your students to rotate through different stations. And now that we know this, let's see different configurations. So we have different types of stations. The first one will be the flip station. So in this one, it's basically the content. Okay, this is the one that we use when the content is flipped. So obviously, it serves as a substitute for our direct instruction. And many times people ask me, why is there a flip station in class flip? Well, because we many times have students who didn't watch the material or didn't check the things that we assign. And then if we want to have an activity in class in which they need that information and they haven't checked that, it's not going to work properly. So with in-class flip, what we do is include that in the flip station so that it's not going to affect them, like if they hadn't checked that previously at home. So what happens in this flip station? The content can be represented or can be shown through posters or flashcards in a tablet, with a cell phone, with a laptop. You can have some reading material, anything. Okay, anything that has the content that you want to give them. Okay. The second type of station will be the practice station. I'm not talking about this in a specific order. I'm just telling you the different types of stations. So what happens in this practice station, as the name says, is where our students are expected to show their understanding of the content that they have just watched. Okay, what is the main focus here is keeping the students engaged in active learning. So what do you normally have in a practice station? You have worksheets, you have a game in a laptop, you have different things in which they can practice what they observed or what they saw in the flip station. Another is the independent station. What happens? I don't know if this has happened to you, but I have some students who finish very early. Okay, and obviously those students have some sort of previous knowledge. So what we try to bring to the classroom is many times focus on the students who are just learning that, not on the ones that already know that. So in this independent station, if those students finish, then they're not going to be stuck there like, okay, so what do we do right now? So in this independent station, it helps the rotation to run more smoothly. Why? Because it keeps those students engaged in the learning instead of just waiting around, wasting time. And also, if you have the stations and you don't have an independent station, there can be like a mini traffic jam in the classroom. So here in this station, we have games, we have flashcards, we have something extra also related to the topic, or if you consider it's also necessary to have a brain break, you also included that in the independent station for the students to just have something different without stopping, like interacting in English. So another is the teacher support station. It is recommended to have obviously a place where your students can go and ask you questions. So that will be kind of your station. In that station, you keep your role, yes, the role of a teacher. And here, what we do is help the students to clarify questions. We can have some tutoring, like mini tutoring. We can give feedback on the things that they have done so far. So it's very necessary. Another is the peer instruction station. And what happens in this one is basically group work, pair work, okay? So in this case, students can teach one another, maybe as a way to demonstrate that they understood the content, okay? So for example, you have 5 students in the station and you want 2 of them to work with their partners and just teach them a little bit what they have done, or maybe clarify something. But it's different when it's another partner that is instructing them instead of the teacher or instead of working alone. So important teachers, you can set your own rules for how this station works. You can assign roles, you can give it a time. It's really up to you the way that you want to use this station. Another, it's the feedback station. And in the feedback station, it's not only feedback that we give our students, no. You can have there some peer feedback, so maybe they can check each other's classwork, make comments about it, like correct it. Maybe you can have a worksheet with an answer key, and they can check each other's work. It's pretty interesting. Also, you can have some learning feedback in this station, and maybe you have some reflection questions for students to reflect on what they have learned so far. And maybe you can leave some sticky notes for them to write down questions and then you collect them. And with the whole group, you answer them or discuss around them. And something very, very valuable is the lesson feedback. So they can comment on what they like, what they didn't like about the lesson. They can propose some way to enhance it for the future, to make it better. Some of these suggestions are very valuable for future lessons. So that's why I think this is a very interesting and necessary station as part of our rotation. And we can have the assessment station. So in this case, we can have like mini quizzes, like specific tasks in which our students need to show or demonstrate that they understood everything that was going on in the rest of the stations, specifically in the flip station and the prepping station. That's what I would recommend. So what can you have here? You can have, as I said, a quiz, or maybe a longer test, or something that builds up on the knowledge that they have got. All right. Teachers, important, very, very important. You don't need to include all of them, okay? You can choose what you want and tailor your lesson around that. That's the magic of this. You can actually play with it anyway, the one that is more convenient for you. Okay, so now that I have shown you the types of stations, let me show you some examples from my class. So remember, I work at Universidad Católica Luis Amigo in the Bachelor in Foreign Languages with an emphasis on English. So we are training, or we are teaching the future English teachers of the country. So that's why some of the activities that you're going to see here are tailored or based on taking into consideration the degree. So the flip configurations that I normally use, it really depends on the group's needs. So for instance, here I have, and give me a second because I don't want this to sound very loud. cancel this one in here. Oh, sorry. What happens in this video? We have here the clip or like the content explanation is in that first station through the video, and I have three practice stations. So we have activity one, activity two, activity three, and in this case, those stations are with this configuration. So we have the flip station. We also have like a Pictionary. The ladies here are working with Pictionary, and the video seems to be not working very well, but it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to show you like the configurations. Let me see if I can show you the end, so you can see the whole distribution of the classroom. So there, what you can see is the presentation, presentations, and very important features have the instructions visible. Like for example, they are in these little posters on the walls, or in this case, in the blinds, and have a way to time the stations, the durations of the stations. So basically what I do is assign them some time and I project it on the screen as you can see here. So this is a sequence in cost. They go in a particular order. Okay. Here we have pictures of the flip station. So same, yes, it's basically the laptop with a video. I think I remember, if I remember well, in this class we were studying um, like types of sentences and parts of speech. Okay. In the practice station, they have a game. In this case, it was a SWAT game. They have to SWAT the flies in this case, according to the different parts of speech. So yes, it's the practice station, but it's a game. Okay. In the peer instruction station, we have flashcards here. So you can see that there is a student leading this station, and there were some questions in the flashcards, and in others there were some concepts. In the peer feedback station, this one was focused on correcting. So in this case, it was a writing and speaking exercise. So here you have like the name of the station. Here in this little piece of paper, it's the description of what they have to do. And basically what they had to do was take one of these famous people and write about them. Okay, so that's why this student is writing. This student is speaking, so it's both of them. And this is the student that was giving feedback. Okay, so you can rotate or change the roles. All right. That is an evaluation station. This one, it's from a more advanced group. So basically what we were doing, we were studying phrasal verbs. And in this evaluation station, I asked them to create some movie strips in which they use the phrasal verbs that we have studied. So I have here a couple of pictures of what they created, and it was a fun activity because they had the colors and it was a little like a creative challenge, creativity. So yeah, it was very very nice. Here we have a look in Coswell. So this was with our third semester students. It was material analysis. So what they did is they tried on different material and they had to create some sort of report. So basically in the first station, the flip station, it's not visible in this video, but there was a video on screen talking about the way to evaluate material. And then we had different practice stations. So in the first one, they had the price butters. In this one, they had buzzers. So they had some cards with pictures and they had to describe them to the partners. And if they knew the answer, they would just have to hit the buzzer and answer. Like for example, in this case, my student didn't get the right one. In the other, this is guess who, but with cards. So basically, what they were doing was like trying to find the character that what this person, this student had in her card. Okay, and the last one, the last practice station was uh, getting the picture, like what object they had in their car that they have here in the headbands. Okay, so they are future teachers, but in this case, they were acting as students for the first part of the activity because they were trying the material, like playing like a normal student. And then, based on the content from the flip station, based on that video, they had to sit down and analyze that material that they worked with. Okay, so this is a look in class flip activity. Now, this one is an example of half and half. So half and half in class flip in the flip station. This was about teaching methods and approaches. And we were working with AR, augmented reality. So we have the cube here, the app. They were basically checking the human body. So in the flip station, we had a video that talked about augmented reality and its benefits in teaching English. And in the teacher support station, we had this VR or AR exploration, and they had a checklist that they had to complete uh, if like the resource, in this case the merge cube, met the requirements or didn't meet the requirements. So that was a half and half, while the like half of the group was working in the flip station and the other half of the group was with me in a teacher support station exploring the the resource. Okay, so how is the stations flow? This is a picture of my classroom, and I have the time visible. And normally, the duration of the stations, it depends on how many stations I have, but I will say 15 minutes is enough according to the activities it really varies according to what you have. But here we have the flip station, so students have the video with explanation. It was on this desk. Here was the speaker. And then here we have some practice stations, so the students have the headbands with pictures. And here we had an independent station. So for those early finishers, they had some QR codes to explore on their own and post-its for questions. So this is like one of the configurations that I used in my class. Okay, but the name of this talk is gamifying in class flip. So now that we already know what in-class flip means, let's talk a little bit about what is gamification. So I'm pretty sure that all of us are familiar with the concept of gamification. We are also familiar with game-based learning. That's the one that I use the most, actually, the game-based learning. But in this case, I wanted to keep in mind gamification as the pedagogical strategy that we use in our classroom. But it's very important to remember that it involves having like elements and principles of games. It's not only the games, all right, are those elements and principles, but applied obviously in the educational environment. So, what is the aim of this? Increasing student motivation, commitment, and learning. So, when I talk about elements and principles of games, what do I mean? I mean, having rules, having goals, creating some sort of strategy. Obviously, it's going to be an activity that is fun, but most important, it's to have something measurable. Yes, something that can actually show us the progress of our students. And obviously, this fosters collaboration. So, what do we do with this gamification, or how can we gamify our in-class work? So I am a fan of Genially, and I have created some digital games in Genially. And what I do is in some of the stations, I have a laptop and I have my students go through the different digital games that I have created. So that incorporates some of the elements of gamification. I also have challenges. So we have challenges design, we have escape rooms. For example, my students really love the escape rooms. I created one It's called the Dragon's Dungeon. I didn't create it. Um, I adapted a template. So how does this game work? So here it comes with sound, but it's going to sound really loud. It sounds like this. You can perfect. All right. So what happens? I was teaching intermediate, and our unit was about crimes and misdemeanors. So there's a story that guides them through the purpose of the game. So legend says that a faraway kingdom forged a sword that together with the power of the elemental gems. So here we have fire, water, air, and earth could defeat any evil. So it's actually very good because your students have reading comprehension and they start getting excited because, I mean, challenges are always fun in the classroom. So when they start the game, is, here we have the story. So they are asking us if we want to take the challenge or if we can help them. So of course we can help them, and they gave us the sword. And once they gave us the sword, we have to go and find the urgent. So here we have obviously the skeleton and says where they're going, and they start asking questions. So for example, the money that you pay for a trip, many students think is the ticket. The ticket is a piece of paper, so it's not that one. It's a fare. Words or pictures drawn on walls in public places. So obviously, if they have been commissioned by someone or paid by the government, they can be murals. But in this case, we're talking about crime, so it's graffiti. But what happens if they fail, if they lose it here? So here we have pollution, by they lost, but that gives them chances. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I do with the escape rooms. Okay, so moving forward and going away from the challenges design, I also have interactive images. I love creating interactive images because this is a way to kind of gamify the stations in a different way. So, for example, I created one about this same workshop, but it was a little bit more complete. And also one about types of sentences. And for example, our students were doing a coin session with students in Hong Kong. So I created an interactive image in which they were talking about climate change and green economy. That was the topic that we were exploring, both countries. And the way that this interactive image works is once they go over my avatar, they have like the welcoming. And we had an online class that Friday because we had to connect with the students in Hong Kong, but they needed to be ready for that class. So what we did in here was include some videos. We had challenges, as you can see here in the Kahoots. For example, this first station or this first part, what they did is once they click there, they were taken to a site in which they talked about greenhouse gases and they had some information about each of them. So that's what happened every time that they clicked on one of the resources. Okay, this one, for example, was a video, a video about climate change. So a very short video, 3 minutes. That's all they need to understand the main issue here. Here they also had here in the Colombian flag they had an article on a website, and that one talked about how Colombia can meet ambitious climate goals and increase economic growth. So these topics are not easy, and my students At that time they were B1, B2 level, but I wanted to have a challenge for them. And also because we needed to meet the standards of the students that were in Hong Kong. And when they went to the last of the resources, they had another video, this time about green economy. So these all the content is in these images or in these links. After that, I had a challenge. I think in this moment is not possible because it's already closed, but I had two Kahoots for them, and I had an exit ticket. The exit ticket was a Padlet in which they needed to leave their opinion about what they had learned that day. And in this one, I prepared them for the topic that they were going to discuss in the breakout rooms with the students in China, and it was about sustainable tourism. So as you can see, everything is in this interactive image, and that is another way in which I could gamify the in-class flip because they were working online, but they were still working with the in-class flip configurations or the in-class flip model, I mean. Okay, so give me a second. Let me go back to the presentation. So interactive images was another of them. So what happens? Sometimes it is also beneficial to create what we call in-class flip menus. And this might take a little bit longer. Yes, can be a little bit more time consuming, but it's a great way to have differentiation in your classroom. Why? Because you basically design a menu in which we have different activities and they can choose which one they would like to complete. So, for example, in the starter, we have here like the opening activities. In the main dish are the must do activities they have to do to demonstrate what they have learned so far. Then we have drinks and desserts. And let me make this easier. Okay, so the starter, opening activities or warm-ups to engage the students. Here in the main dish is the most activities that students can do in any sequence. In the drinks, we have extensive activities to complement the main dish activities, so they must do. And students are expected to complete a number of them. All right, so you give them options. That is the most important thing in these flip menus. And as the desserts, like the cherry on top, are it's an evaluative activity to check that the students actually understood what you assign them in the flip station. Okay, so what I do is I give them the gamified in-class flip menu, and they can go around the different stations with the different activities that they have there. Okay, so teachers, it's time to flip. Yes, I highly encourage you, and I highly recommend incorporating flip learning and in-class flip into your classes, and you can gamify it and find a way to meet these two things of in-class flip and gamification. I can assure that your classes are going to be not only much more fun, but also much more meaningful for your students. And when we create these nice and good memories or good learning experiences, our students are going to remember that forever, and it's going to have a very, very positive impact in their learning. So, teachers, thank you so much. I hope I can see you in Santa Marta. And remember that from as a COPIC Board of Directors, we are always here to support. So, Jonathan, I guess that will be it on my end.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a great honor, not only for me, but for everybody here that I'm pretty sure that will enjoy your webinar as much as I did. I have to be honest, I am also fan, if we could say that, of Professor Marta and Professor Caro. For me, they are a truly inspiration for many of us. We have truly learned a lot from them, and I'm pretty sure as a copy embraces what they actually have to say to the world. So thank you very much for also showing that to us, and for those people who are going to be watching this webinar. Just remember, everybody, that we are constantly giving webinars from Asocopy every single Wednesday. Keep on track on the social media, because we are posting more information about it. All right. So we will see you in Santa Marta this coming October. So hopefully we got to see everybody over there. Thank you very much, Andrea. It was a great honor to have you here. And as a copy really loves you.
And yeah, I also really love it. And guys, seriously, like remember, we are only two people in the board of like representing the board of directors, but as a copy is here for you. So take advantage of every single thing that as a copy has to offer you. But also, as a copy is a community. So if you would like to share your knowledge with the rest of us, please let us know. We will be very happy to have you in one of our webinars. So yes, don't hesitate.
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. I totally agree. The five of us, including Miriam, the sixth of us, we're happy to have you here. We're still in the process of learning from each other, and why not contact us, and we will keep on track on that. Thank you very much, Andre, and thanks everybody for watching. Bye bye.
See you.